Hey friend, welcome to Ask Dr. Betters. Someone wants to know, they said, I have a question maybe you can elaborate on. When the Bible says that we will be rewarded for our deeds on earth when we get to heaven, do we have any indication or knowledge of what those rewards could be? Well, there's a couple of thoughts that I have on this, and I hope these are helpful to you. Number one, the Bible tells us that when we get to heaven, our eyes have not seen, our ears have not heard, nor could we even possibly imagine the things that God has prepared for those who love Him. That ought to be enough right there. We do not know what those rewards will be, but they will be inexpressible, apart from, without any connection to, pain and suffering and heartache and brokenness. Because that's the second thing we learn about heaven. In heaven, there are no tears. There is no sorrow. There is no death. There is no pain anymore, because the former things have passed away. We know that the joy is inexpressible. We know that the rewards cannot be enumerated, because no words would give them adequate due. And we know that they are apart from any semblance of death or sorrow or our sin nature, etc. But we also have the passage in Matthew chapter 25. It's a parable of the talents. Here's the story. A man goes on a journey, verse 14, who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, and to each according to his ability. Then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded them, and made 5 talents more. So also the one that had 2 talents went out and made 2 talents more. But he who received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now after a long while, the master returned to settle the accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing the 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents, and I have made 5 talents more. Now this is a picture of judgment. The master returns home, and he's saying to his servants, give an account now for what you did with your life. We're all going to do that one day. We're all going to stand before God, and He's going to want to know what we did with the talents that He gave us. So He says to the faithful servant who took the 5 talents and changed them into 10 talents, He says to him, you have been faithful over a little. Well done. You are a good and faithful servant. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He said something similar to the man who turned the 2 into 4. But when he comes to the one who took the 1 talent and buried it, he brings a judgment on him that is very severe. He calls him a wicked and a slothful servant. You knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I have no seed. And then he says about this man, take the talent from him, give it to him who has the 10 talents, for to everyone who has more will be given, and will have abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. and cast that worthless servant into the outer darkness, in the place where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So you got the guy with 5 talents, the one with 2 talents, they're blessed. He says to them, "You've been faithful over a little. Now I will make you ruler over much." What does that mean? We don't know. What will we rule? What are we going to be ruling when we stand before God in heaven? What's he mean when he says, you took the 5 talents and turned them into 10? Well done, good and faithful servant. What will he say to you? What will he say to me? Well done, or you're a worthless servant? It depends on what we do with the salvation that God has offered us. First of all, he offers us salvation. What if we don't even accept it? What if we take it and learn about it and throw it away? Then we become that worthless servant. We become that person who will be cast into outer darkness. But if we take what God has given us and multiply it, there are rewards which we cannot number, we cannot describe, words cannot adequately express them. And our understanding of what God is going to do in that day cannot be expressed with words that others will understand. So to answer your question, when you say that, what does it mean when the Bible says we will be rewarded for our deeds on earth in heaven? And what are those rewards? What do they look like? We will be rewarded or we will be judged, depending on what we do with what God's given us. I look at all these talented people who are making millions and millions and millions of dollars. Very talented people, actors, athletes, and on the list goes. One day, they're going to stand before God and they're going to account with what they did with all the abilities and gift mixes that he gave them. One day they will account for the skills that he gave them, some of them even at birth. And they will give an account to God because he will call in the receipts, so to speak. And we look around at those people, we see how they prosper on earth. Well, they have their reward. That is their reward. Their reward is what they have accumulated on earth. But when they die, all that stays behind. They stand before God naked. And he asks them one simple question. What did you do with the offer of salvation that I gave you? What did you do with the talents that I had entrusted into your care? And we will give an account. I hope this is helpful to you.
Hi, my name is Melissa Weisenfels, Executive Director here at MARKINC Ministries. Thank you so very much for your continued support of this video series. Ask Dr. Betters is not meant to be a substitute for professional counseling, but instead is designed to extract biblical principles around the questions being asked. We encourage you to seek professional counseling if needed.